We're news for business people. Very good evening. You're watching Primetime. I'm Tamanna.
And my name is Ayush. Let's have a look at today's headlines. The government mulls a tax discount for online payments. Consumers could save up to 2% on digital payments.
Finance Minister Arun Jaitley says challenges from structural reforms may alter the glide path of fiscal consolidation.
Reliance Communications lenders face a lose-lose situation as the company's stock price falls below the conversion price for strategic debt restructuring.
Indian markets snap three-day losing streak as Infosys, SBI and RIL rally.
The Environment Pollution Control Authority lifts the ban on construction activities and entry of trucks from across Delhi NCR as air quality improves.
And the government moves to boost low-cost housing, approves increasing the carpet area of houses for the middle-income group category. Well, the next time you buy something online, you could avail a tax discount. This, the government hopes, will incentivize digital transactions. My colleague Nikunj Ohri joins us now with more details on the story. Nikunj, how will this plan work out and what are the implications on government revenues?
The government is considering a 2% GST concession on all B2C payments made online. The cap on this concession would be ₹100 per transaction, a government official told Bloomberg Quint. According to the proposal moved by the government, consumers would be offered two prices, one with a concession of 2% for those who make purchases online and the other with a normal GST rate for all the cash payments. This concession, however, will not be applicable for composition dealers or those businesses who avail the composition scheme. According to a study done by the government, average value of transactions that took place in 2016-17 was ₹1,800. And if we assume 1,800 is the average value of transactions that take place in the current year and 20% of people who make purchases online avail this concession of 2%, the revenue implication of this move of the government would be around 13,000 crore rupees. According to a tax expert we spoke to, he said that the government will have to put out a clear mechanism as to how this concession would work, meaning whether consumers would be given a cashback or suppliers will have to maintain two rates, one for those who make purchases online and the other for all cash payments. This would then make compliance for these suppliers more difficult. However, this proposal will be tabled in the GST Council's next meeting scheduled to take place in January.
That's an interesting development, Nikunj. Just to put things into a little bit of perspective, how would this work if one of us has to purchase an item online?
For example, I buy a watch today worth ₹5,000 and the effective rate of tax on watches is currently 18%. So the effective tax incidence on a watch worth ₹5,000 would be around ₹900. That's 1,800 of 5,000 rupees. But if I buy this watch online, if I buy this watch using a credit or a debit card, I would end up paying only 16% of 5,000 rupees. That's 800 rupees. So the total tax incidence if I make a purchase using a debit or a credit card would be 800 rupees on 5,000 worth of watch that I buy today. Remember, the cap on per transaction would be ₹100.
All right, now to talk more on this latest proposal and how it will work, I'm joined by MS Mani. He's Senior Director, Indirect Tax at Deloitte India. Thanks so much, Mani, for speaking with us this evening on Prime Time. Good idea. How easy to implement?
I think it's a wonderful idea, but it's going to be very, very intensive in terms of implementation. I would just like to start by saying that I don't think there will be a different rate of GST for digital transaction. So I was hearing the example of an 18% and a 16%. It may not possibly be implemented in that way. And the better way by which they could implement it is by giving an upfront discount or a cashback. And this cashback is something which is a mechanism which a lot of people have been having in the past. and therefore it may be easier for the government to implement a cashback mechanism rather than any other mechanism.
But any kind of cashback mechanism or discount would be through the portal who is selling that good and which you're buying through. So there will be an in-between gateway. How does one ensure that those discounts are not sort of disguised in higher prices or eaten up in that sense?
It's quite possible that this will be given as a relief to the merchant when he pays the GST. So this is something which has to be given to the consumer. But when it's given to the consumer, it should not be at the expense of the merchant who is accepting a digital transaction. And therefore, possibly they will have a mechanism by which the merchant will pay a lower GST. And that is the manner in which the merchant gets compensated. But to talk of a different GST rate is going to be very difficult, because that will mean tinkering with all the rates of GST that we have. So 18 will become 16, a 12 will become 10. I don't know whether a 5 will become 3. That's going to be much more difficult for them.
But Mani, just to take it forward there, considering, well, it seems based on our reportage that 1,800 rupees was the average value of transaction that the government had considered. But do you think that this is really an effective way, perhaps, of incentivizing digital payments?
Look, there are various ways of incentivizing digital payments, and this is possibly one way of doing this. The other way of incentivizing digital payments, which I believe some countries in Europe have done, is to say that transactions beyond the limit are illegal in cash. So in large parts of Europe, they have a concept where they say that if you are buying which is something which is more than 3,000 euro, it's illegal to pay for it in cash. And no business can accept cash beyond 3,000 pounds for supply of goods. Now, until such time we have something of that kind, or a mechanism where people are encouraged to go more and more digital, we'll have to possibly do a bit of experimentation in terms of what works for India.
Right, Manu, we're going to request you to stay on because there's more GST updates. Now, the Union Cabinet has approved setting up of a National Anti-Profiteering Authority under the Goods and Services Tax. A 5-member committee headed by Cabinet Secretary P.K. Sinha has been entrusted to finalize the chairman and members of the authority. If the authority finds that a company has not passed on GST benefits, it will direct the entity to pass on the benefits to consumers.
If the beneficiary cannot be identified, Anti-Profiteering Authority will ask the company to transfer the amount to the Consumer Welfare Fund within a specific timeline. Union Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad has said that the move reflects the government's commitment to ensure that the benefits of GST are passed on to the consumer.
आज जो मुनाफा विरोधी अथॉरिटी की स्थापना की गई है कैबिनेट के निर्णय के द्वारा, ये भारत के छोटे छोटे बड़े कंज्यूमर्स के पक्ष में भारत सरकार खड़ी है। कोई भी कंज्यूमर अगर उसको शिकायत है कि जो उसकी देनदारी है वो उसको नहीं दी जा रही है और मुनाफाखोरी हो रही है, वो शिकायत कर सकता है और उसके बाद ये मैटर एंटी प्रॉफिटेरिंग अथॉरिटी के सामने आएगा और उचित कार्रवाई की जाएगी और निर्देश दिया जाएगा।
MS Mani is still with us, and this is an interesting development, Mani, in light of what we were talking about earlier, even with the 2% rebate. If the merchant is the one who's getting the discount effectively by paying a lesser GST, what is the guarantee he passes it on? And what are your views on this anti-profiteering move that the government is moving towards? Because that is one part which is irking a lot of consumers. They feel that GST benefits are not being passed on.
Look, as far as the anti-profiteering provisions are concerned, this was there in the GST law even when the GST law was introduced on 1st of July. So we have a section which is termed as Section 171, which talks of anti-profiteering and which lays down in very clear and I would say very unambiguous language that if there is a reduction in the rate of tax or if there is an increase in the input tax credit, both of these have to be passed on to the consumer, irrespective of whether it is a B2C transaction or a B2B transaction. Now, this provision has been there from 1st of July. Till now, we have not heard too much of action on that. And possibly what has triggered the action in the last few days is a large-scale reduction that we have seen of 170-odd items coming from 28 to 18. And the government is worried that people may not pass this on. And that is the fear which is prompting them to go ahead and set up the anti-profiteering authority and also issue the rules. Here we have to bear in mind that any anti-profiteering authority is going to be as effective as it is implemented.
Absolutely.
If the anti-profiteering authority takes complaints very seriously, investigates it within a defined time frame, I'm sure we'll have a very good rollout of GST from a consumer perspective.
All right. Thank you so much, Mani, for speaking with us. A lot of responses coming in from all of you watching the show this evening. Prateek is asking, we will make a cashless transaction. Ask all banks not to charge for, transactions online like service charges, etc. There are more responses coming in.
There are absolutely. Even on Twitter, Tamanna, Evokel, I hope I got that name right, says in rural areas, how many people actually know about digitalization? Well, that's one thought. And of course, Uday Pratap Singh as well saying, will the discount be available for the merchant or else is it for the end user? The question that you posed.
As of now, it's for the end user.
Yeah.
Is there a guarantee that the merchant will pass it on? Well, we hope they do.
Absolutely.
Moving on, the Union Cabinet also removed restrictions on exports of pulses to help farmers get better prices for their produce. IT and Law Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad said the move will help farmers sell their products at a profit.
Finance Minister Arun Jaitley says the economy is turning a corner after a temporary blip seen during the recent structural changes. Speaking at the Morgan Stanley Investor Conference, Jaitley said the economy was bottoming out and that it should move up along with global cues. Commenting on the fiscal front, the Finance Minister said that there would be no pause in the fiscal consolidation roadmap, but there could be challenges arising from structural reforms.
Now, on recapitalizing public sector banks, Jaitley said that the recap plan will be performance-based and there could be 1 or 2 cases of consolidation among public banks in the next 12 months. He also said there was a concerted push from the government side to push public sector banks to lend more to MSMEs on GST. Arun Jaitley said that rates could fall further over the next 2 years as there seems to be a consensus building within the committee system. Now, the Bharat 22 ETF has received a very good response from foreign and domestic fund houses, with the anchor investor segment getting subscribed over 6 times. The retail segment is also expected to attract a strong response. This has made the Disinvestment Secretary Neeraj Kumar Gupta a happy man, who's delighted that foreign investors have also put in bids for the exchange-traded fund. He also says the aim is not to rush through with any divestment program, just to meet the target of 72,500 crore rupees.
The anchor book has got oversubscribed 6 times. FIIs, which have not been coming in big way except in banking stocks after recapitalization and some other stocks, they have come in a very big way for Bharat ETF 22. Even DIIs, which are even higher than the FIIs in even this segment, insurance, pension funds, everybody has taken this very, very positively. Retail response is very good, and we are getting good response from pension funds. See, whatever strategic divestment government has agreed in principle, they're all progressing as per the given timelines. We are working meticulously on all the deals.
Now, in order to boost low-cost housing, the Union government has increased the carpet area of houses for the middle income group, or the MIG category, under the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana. For MIG 1 category, the carpet area has been raised to 120 square meters. 4% interest subsidy is provided to MIG 1 beneficiaries, whose annual income is between 6 lakh rupees and 12 lakh rupees. This is applicable on a loan of up to 9 lakh rupees. For MIG 2 category, the carpet area is increased to 150 square meters, and the beneficiaries will get an interest subsidy of 3% on a loan of up to 12 lakh rupees. MIG 2 falls in the income bracket of 12 lakh to 18 lakh rupees per annum.
Now, with the Diwali sales firmly behind us, data from property research company Prop Equity shows that real estate developers were disappointed as the Festival of Lights failed to light up their prospects. According to Prop Equity data, sales declined between 13 and 60% in 3 months to September. New launches that contribute the bulk of the demand also plunged. In fact, to analyze why it has been a dull Diwali for developers, we're joined by Sameer Jasuja, founder and CEO of Prop Equity. Sameer, welcome to the show. And thank you for speaking with us. If you remember, we spoke before Diwali when Prop Equity had said, your data had said that there were much fewer new launches, though there was a pickup in inquiries as per real estate developers. Do we know now if any of those really translated into sales, and if anything really looked up for the real estate sector during the festive season?
Well, the fact is that, as I mentioned earlier also, the under construction properties are facing a lot of challenge with respect to sales, primarily on two accounts. One is the excessive delays that got caused over the last 3 to 4 years by projects that were launched much earlier. And the second is the GST. So both these reasons have kept both the investors and the end users away from the primary market or the under construction market. Whereas the secondary market, where rates look like they've kind of bottomed out, there is some significant deals that have started to happen at lower rates, and there are a lot of inquiries on the ground, and some of them are actually translating into real sales as we speak across the country.
You know, also Sameer, as a follow-up question, considering, well, this is a post-note ban scenario, and also considering the real estate regulation, how much have they had an impact on these numbers?
Well, if you look at the last 1 year, specifically post-demonetization, right, we were already going through a very rough patch in real estate over the last 3.5 years. We've been on a down cycle. So in the last 1.5 years, the real rates have come down by 10 to 15%, because they were already down by 25% over the last 3.5 years. As if you look at the new launches, they're down by 95%, and with the rates now having come to realistic levels and no new launches happening in the near future, the markets slowly are looking to pick up now. So it's been quite devastating for the real estate market, both because of demonetization, RERA, and lastly GST. But these are all steps in the right direction, and once the real estate markets start to revive and pick up, there will be no looking back.
Sameer, I just want to get your view on the push the government is giving to low-cost housing or affordable housing as well. We've reported that, under the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana scheme, the square foot for the MIG category has been increased, or the square meter has been increased. Is that affordable housing push working? Because a lot of developers are also now fine-tuning their projects for this category.
Absolutely. I think the Prime Minister has really succeeded on two counts. One is that he's actually ensured that the prices of real estate go down and remain stable rather than going up. So that part has been very well accomplished. As far as the affordable housing push is concerned, all the developers are really seeing a genuine demand in that space, and they're gearing up to set up their new SPVs, new companies to cater to the affordable housing segment. But the only challenge that I see in affordable housing segment is that, where land is affordable and real affordable housing can be created, the social infrastructure is totally lacking. So, you're going to see some success in affordable housing in bits and spurts, but the real push and the real boom that the Prime Minister is expecting is not about to happen in affordable housing as well, unfortunately. So you'll see some numbers, but way short of what the government is expecting with respect to affordable housing.
Thanks, Amir. Those have been some interesting insights. Thanks so much for speaking with us on Bloomberg Quint. Now, moving on to the next story. With Reliance Communications stock hitting new lows each day, the company's lenders have been left with some hard choices. The strategic debt restructuring plan, which had been sanctioned by the lenders, is now in jeopardy, as the price agreed upon for the conversion was set at just less than 25 rupees per share. way more than today's trading price of 10 rupees. Vishwanath Nair of Bloomberg Quinn joins us now with the details. Vishy, no one would want to be in Arcom's lender shoes right now, I'd imagine.
The lenders had agreed to this 24.71 price under the SDR scheme. Now the RBI mandates that if you invoke SDR on a certain date, that is called the reference date, then you take the average of the closing price of the 10 preceding trading days and use that as the conversion price or the minimum conversion price. Now that price works up to about 24 rupees 71 paise. But the issue is that as of today, the stock has closed at about closer to 10 rupees. So if the lenders will convert at 24.71, then they would end up taking a large mark-to-market hit on whatever that conversion price is. So that is something that they are trying to avoid at doing. However, the RBI RBI norms in this matter are pretty clear that that is the price that you have to quote. Now, the issue here is that if the SDR fails, if the lenders agree to not convert the debt into equity at this current price, and the SDR fails, then there's a whole host of issues that come up. Arcom will become then a non-performing asset. It's a 45,000 crore asset. It's a massive hole on the bank books. There will also be problems arising out of insolvency proceedings. Now, lenders will have that option, of course, but apart from the lenders, there's also operational creditors like Manipal Technologies and a couple of other operational creditors, including Ericsson India, who have filed insolvency proceedings against the company. So that process is going on. If any of those insolvency proceedings end up getting admitted in the court, then the lenders will be pulled into the whole system and they will be forced to provide for these assets as though they were NPAs, as 50% of secured and 100% of unsecured exposure in those assets. So that is going to be something that is going to be playing on the minds of the lenders. They will have to approve the SDR or risk high provisioning on these loans.
Vishy, thanks so much for that update. Now, onto a quick check onto the action in Dalal Street today. Indian markets posted their best single-day gains in over 2 weeks. Both the Sensex and the Nifty finished with gains around 1 percentage point. Index heavyweights such as RIL, SBI and Infosys led the rally.
Now, meanwhile, a CARE ratings report has shown that low industrial growth and transition to GST have pulled down corporate profits by about 1.5% in the quarter ending September. The corresponding number on a year-on-year basis is a healthy rise of 13.2%. At the same time, the study found that net sales growth slowed down to 7% after registering a growth of 10% in the same period a year ago.
2017 has seen the highest number of IPOs since 2011, with 32 companies raising nearly 50,000 crore from the primary markets. And while some of them are like Avenue Supermarts listed at a premium of more than 100% to its issue price, there were a handful which listed at a discount as well. But have all those that listed at a premium managed to stay in the green, and will investors who bought shares in these companies make a profit if they chose to sell the stocks? Somit Sarkar gets you the answer in this report.
So far in 2017, 32 companies have been listed on the stock exchanges, and most of them have given investors listing gain. But what we are going to see today is how have the share prices of these listed companies moved from the closing price on the listing day till now. So out of the 32 listed companies, 20 companies have given negative returns from their respective closing prices on the listing day till November 15th. 9 companies have given return in the range of 10 to 132%, while 3 companies have given return in the range of just 0 to 4%. So let's first see the top 5 companies who have declined the most. S. Chand, the book publisher, listed on the exchanges at a premium of close to 6%, and post that it is down now by 31%. CL Educate, the coaching class company, listed on the exchanges at a discount of 21%, and post that it declined by another 24%. GTPL Hathway and Bharat Road Network listed flat on the exchanges, and after that they have declined by close to 16% and 14%. Now, Godrej Agrovet, that is the agri-business company and the subsidiary of Godrej Industries, listed on the exchanges at a premium of 35% to its issue price. But since then, the stock has declined by more than 10%. So now let's see who are the gainers or the stocks who have made most of the wealth for the investors. Shankara Building, which is a retailer of home improvement and building products, listed on the exchanges at a premium of 19% to its issue price, and since then the stock has moved by more than 130%. Apex Frozen Food listed at a premium of 14%, and after that it has given investors a return of more than 130%. Now Avenue Supermarts, who saw a grand listing of more than 100% to its issue price, has been up close to 72% post that. Well, PSP Projects, on the other hand, who was listed on the exchanges at a discount of 5%, has managed to give a return of 92% since then. And Tejas Network, who saw a flat listing, has gained close to 50% post that.
7 states have submitted the proposal for seeking funds for the government's Saubhagya scheme. Power Minister made a bold statement today that the government will achieve the target by December 2018, whereas only 1% has been achieved till now. Bhanvi Arora sums up all the developments in this report.
7 states have submitted proposal to seek funds for the government's Saubhagya scheme. Now these states include Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Mizoram, Nagaland, Gujarat, Assam and Chhattisgarh. Now the Saubhagya scheme was launched in September this year to provide last mile connectivity to urban and rural households by December 2018. Earlier, there was a similar scheme called Deen Dayal Upadhyay Gram Jyoti Yojana, which was launched in July 2015. But a lot of households still remain to be electrified, and that is why Saubhagya scheme was launched. The government today said that it has asked states to conduct camps in these unelectrified villages to capture data and give connections to people below poverty line. Free connections will be given to people below poverty line, whereas people who aren't poor, they will have to give rupees 500 in 10 installments to procure these connections. The government has also launched a Saubhagya portal today for the states to feed in the current status of a Saubhagya scheme. And according to the portal, only 1% of the target has been achieved till now. The government has been able to electrify around 5 lakh households till now, whereas the target for electrification is about 4 crore households by December 2018.
All right, now today the Environment Pollution Control Authority has withdrawn the ban on construction activities, the entry of trucks and enhanced parking fees from across Delhi NCR. The move comes after air quality remained out of the emergency category for the second straight day. The measures were enforced on November 8th after pollution levels had spiked in the region, hitting the emergency category. EPCA chairperson Bhure Lal wrote to the chief secretaries of Delhi, Uttar Pradesh, Punjab and Haryana this morning, directing them that the measures be lifted with immediate effect. So Tamanna, what's up with Primetime Debate today?
Well, in Primetime Debate this evening, we're talking about Battleground Gujarat in the context of a very interesting survey done by the Pew Research Center. It's a US-based think tank, which has found that 9 out of 10 Indians are very fond of their Prime Minister currently. It's interesting because a lot is at stake for Prime Minister Modi as well. Absolutely. In the battleground of Gujarat. We're talking to top leaders from the BJP and the Congress this evening about what the issues are, so stay tuned for that.